let's talk about the best high-end Prebuilt Gaming PCs of the month for August 2022. I will go from the cheapest one to the most expensive, so if your budget is between $1,500 all the way up to $4,000, this video is going to be for you. However, I will leave you more PCs for a higher and a lower price down below in the description for you to have more options in case your budget is different. Without further ado, let's start with this one. With the first one, we have the Kronos from Newegg. I mentioned this one a lot for a reason. This one has the i5-12600K and the RTX 3070, a terabyte of SSD, 16 gigs of RAM and a 650 watt 80 plus cold power supply, alongside a 240 all-in-one liquid cooler for the CPU. And the airflow overall for this PC is great. You get that front mesh panel, beautiful RGB, all of this combined for $1,530. I actually think that it's a pretty good deal for the type of PC that you get. This is more of a 1440p gaming PC, but it's going to work with 4K as well, but you have to know that it has some limitations at 4K. If you just want to play esports titles, or let's say GTA 5, even Red Dead Redemption 2, the 3070 is going to be enough for 4K. But if you want to play games like Cyberpunk 2077, Flight Simulator at 4K, ultra settings, this is not the right PC for you. However, if you're going to play at 1440p, this is way more than enough, and you have to bear in mind that it has the i5-12600K, which in my opinion is the max CPU that you should get for gaming. You won't get any advantage out of the i7-12700K for gaming. Of course, for content creation it's going to be better, but for gaming, this one, it's a great PC and it's going to be the cheapest one on the list for a high-end computer. With the second PC, we have one that I've tested on this channel, the Omen 45L. It's $2,000, but after the coupon code that I will leave you down below in the description, it will cost you around $1,800, and $1,800 for the i7-12700K and the RTX 3080. It's a great deal. The 3080, it's a 4K graphics card and it doesn't have any real limitation at 4K. So if you're searching for a gaming desktop that is not too expensive for being a high-end PC, that will support 4K without any issues, and it's also great for content creation, better than the 12600K, this is the right PC for you. It has 16 gigs of RAM, 1TB of hard drive and 500 gigs of SSD. If you're into content creation, I recommend you upgrading the RAM to 32 gigs of RAM, which is pretty easy to do. However, I will leave you my review in the top right of the screen, and on top of that, I will leave you my benchmarks video. I've tested this PC at 1440p and the results were pretty crazy. You also get a new cooling system, so CPU and GPU temps are actually going to be just fine, but you can see that in both of my reviews, so I won't get into too much detail with this PC. Now the next three computers are going to be from Skytech, and this is because they have been making great deals with the higher end systems. The first one being the Prism 2. Actually, all of the three are going to be Prism 2 with different components, but the case is going to be the same, which is a great case, and the airflow overall for this PC will be enough. However, with this first model I will talk about is the Prism 2 for $2,600. You get the Ryzen 7 5800X, which is really similar for gaming with the 12700K. You get a 360 all-in-one liquid cooler, but then you get the RTX 3080 Ti version, which is slightly faster than the 3080. Then you get 1TB of M.2 Gen 4 NVMe SSD, which for gaming won't have any advantage, but if you do content creation with larger files, Gen 4 SSD is going to make sense. And on top of this, you get a 1000 watt 80 plus cold power supply. So the thing that I appreciate the most out of this PC, comparing it with the 45L, is the upgradability over time that you have. In the future, with this 1000 watt 80 plus cold power supply, you can upgrade basically from the GPU to any single component without having to change the power supply, which is a huge plus. So if you want a PC that's going to be slightly faster for gaming than the last one, at 4K resolution of course, and on top of that you get something that's more upgradable over time, this PC is for you. However, it's like $900 more expensive, so if you're just going to do gaming, I feel like the Omen 45L is going to be enough. With the next one we have a better deal in my opinion, which is once again the Prism 2, but this time it has the AMD Ryzen 9 5900X, top of the line for AMD CPUs, and for the GPU you get the RTX 3090, a 24 gigs of VRAM GPU. This is a beast, top of the line GPUs for Nvidia right now, and then you get 1TB of Gen 4 SSD once again, and here you get 32 gigs of RAM, which is going to make a difference for content creation and multitasking, especially if you like to open a bunch of tasks or do other tasks such as streaming. So you get a way better CPU GPU than the last one, and I feel like the price difference, it makes more sense than the price difference from the last one with the Omen 45L, especially if you're a professional. Like I said before, if you're just someone that does gaming and you want a high-end gaming PC for 4K, the 45L will be enough and you end up saving a bunch of money. But if you're a professional that's doing really professional work and you want a PC to last a bunch of years, I think that this one is a great deal if you have a budget of 3,400 bucks, which is expensive, I know, but the number one of this video is more expensive. We are talking about, of course, another Prism 2, but this one is $4,000, and it makes sense once again if you're a professional, and the reason why it makes sense is because you get the i9-12900K, which is a much better CPU in terms of content creation, multi-threading, and different factors, and on top of that you get the RTX 3090 Ti version instead of the 3090. Of course, you won't notice a big difference, both are great GPUs, but they are too expensive, of course. And then for the RAM you get 32 gigs of RAM of DDR5 memory, which by the way right now you won't notice a difference between DDR5 and DDR4 for gaming, at least not a big difference, but maybe down the line DDR5 become the standard and you will need DDR5 on your PC. So with this PC you won't need to upgrade anything down the line. You get the same 1TB of Gen 4 NVMe SSD and the 1000 watt 80 plus gold power supply, so future upgradability on this PC it's a thing, of course, but we will see how hungry power the new GPUs are going to be. However, for $4,000 this PC is great, but once again, if you're not a professional, I recommend you just going for the 45L and saving the extra money if you have, but it really comes down to your needs and your budget. I just don't feel like a $4,000 PC is going to have a huge advantage over a $2,000 one if you're just going to be gaming. And when the new GPUs arrive and we get new Prebuilt PCs, you will probably get a better deal that's cheaper, or maybe you get the same exactly Prism 2 with these specifications for a lot less money. This was the whole list. If you found it helpful, leave a like and subscribe, but most importantly hit the bell button so you get notified when I upload this type of content, which I do from 3 to 5 times a week. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you on the next one.